In a world where nerds rule, but true entertainment is rare. The Nerdy Entertainment Syndicate.
What's happening, nerds? Welcome to Nerdy Entertainment Syndicate's podcast edition for 2018, our first actual podcast video of 18.
Glad to get this started again.
We've done a couple unboxings, probably seen those up before this one, but it's our little podcast issue video.
Yep.
For this issue, we want to get together and talk about 2017, what we liked. We talked a lot about movies, so we kind of compiled a list of our favorite movies, maybe made our top 5, talk about honorable mentions on the list there. So.
Keeping it strictly movies because it was a big year for the movies. Comic-wise, it was a busy year for us, so it wasn't much games in the comic reading for us because he had medic school, I had
games. I just started getting back into it.
Likewise. So I think this year with 2018, I think we'll be able to give comics and video games more of its time in TV shows.
And TV shows.
Correct.
Too, yeah.
So also another thing is we're going to start breaking up our segments, podcasts. Maybe record it one day, everything we want to, and we just break it up and give it in spurts. So it gives you guys more.
Give you maybe a little TV episode.
I think that plays off.
A little comic book episode.
And then
strictly movie news, stuff like that.
We've slowly started getting more into our Instagram, posting little tidbits, and we're going to start experimenting with little stuff, giving 30-second news of, sometimes the news world in comic books isn't, there's not much going on, so we can just break into small segments on our Instagram, keep you guys posted. So, further ado, we're going to give our top movies of the 2017.
Favorites of 2017. I couldn't compile an absolute 5. I have an absolute 4.
Okay.
Everything I'm going to read off this list could easily slide into my number 5 spot. And then we'll talk about it if it's on your list.
Okay.
But Spider-Man Homecoming, that could easily be one of my top 5.
It definitely ranks up there with part of my top 5. I might just say it is in the top 10 for sure. Because finally, I've always liked the Spider-Man. Start off the back, but I feel like it's a Spider-Man that more of the casual masses have said, all right, I can attach myself to this.
Yeah, this reboot seems to be like really spot on, especially because Marvel has their hands on it.
Correct. Maybe it hit like the sweet spot, the happy medium, where it gets the casual and the hardcore fans.
Yeah, it's a perfect.
I think that's what it did a good job with that.
Being a high school kid too, or more of a younger actor to fit into the high school role, kind of makes it work a bit better too. So Spider-Man Homecoming on my list. Again, not my top 5. I'll hit my top 5 once we get there. Big Sick is another movie I really like. Did you watch Big Sick?
No, I haven't seen it yet, but like I said, in the circuits, I've heard forums and just read it. People say it's a great movie.
Really good movie. It's a romantic comedy. It's actually based on a true story. The main actor, Kumail Nanjiani, one of my favorite stand-up comedians, he wrote it with his wife, Emily Gordon. And it's the story of how their relationship started, kind of like a little event that happened.
From what I recall from the trailer, it was the girl he was dating. I don't remember what happened because I haven't seen the movie. But she was in a coma, and it just seems like he falls in love with the family kind of deal. Yeah,
she gets put into a medically induced coma. He kind of had to sign the release to do that because he didn't know her family at the time, and it's just kind of like the story of the family getting involved and how their relationship grows.
Right. It's something I'll think.
Good movie.
Something I'll check out for sure. Okay.
It's a really sweet movie. Good movie.
What you got next?
Another one, Coco. Coco could easily be in my top.
That's in my top 5, and I'll say why it's in my top 5. I have a family, and it's a movie that I can get together with my family that we all truly enjoyed. It had a little bit of everything, the Dia de los Muertos kind of theme, being a Hispanic culture.
That's one thing that resonated real big.
The style, the story, and the singing too. The music. The music is amazing. Very influential. Very Hispanic. Very Mexican tradition to it.
Yeah, being that we're both Hispanic, that really hit us on that. That chord. The music was awesome. I got the soundtrack immediately after watching it.
Same thing with my wife.
Listened to it on the way home.
As soon as the movie was on, she was on YouTube looking up the soundtrack and playing it. She blasts still to this day when she's getting ready to work.
Remember Me? Bring out the tears.
Yeah. So
such a good movie.
Definitely
really
my top 5.
That one.
Let's continue.
Baby Driver. Did you see that one?
Yes. Not top 5, but I enjoyed it. It really wasn't a movie I thought I was going to say it was enjoyable. I was like, all right, I'll watch it just to watch it, but truly enjoyed it.
Really cool movie. Love that movie. When I saw it, immediately came out, posted on my Facebook, whatever, the recommendations. You gotta go see this. It's some that you don't see on a daily basis.
Right.
Just the way they use the music. It seems like a modern day kind of musical. Just
Yes.
the way they use the music in the structure of the movie and how it goes along with the beats of the movie and like
Right.
the actions in the movie. It's like
the music's part of the movie.
it's very rhythmic.
Yeah.
Great movie, especially being such a huge Edgar Wright fan.
Mm-hmm.
So that's another reason I love that movie so much. Another one easily sliding to my number 5 spot. Going back earlier in 2017, Split.
Ooh, yeah.
That movie, I watched it in theaters. Great movie up until the last 15 seconds when it shows you that reveal. With spoiler alert, you should have seen it by now. If you're watching the show. It's a it's a sequel to Unbreakable, the M. Night Shyamalan movie. So when those last 15
I don't know if it's a
seconds,
sequel. It shows you it's in that universe. Where you're like, whoa, that universe exists, and it's still.
It's a sequel because they're making a third, including all those characters.
Do you consider it a sequel? Although it's not connected.
I would totally say it's a sequel.
Yeah. All right.
It's
I consider it's in the universe. It's like, all right, kind of they're doing the Universal Monster Universe. They're not. The next movies aren't.
Well, the third one is using the character from Split and Bruce Willis and Sam Jackson and the girl in the movie. They're all in the movie together.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's like maybe it's in the universe, like be Wonder Woman and BVS and Justice League.
I get what you're saying, but I would consider it.
Either way, that reveal showing that what's going on.
It was a good movie.
Which did this to me.
Last 20 seconds bumped it up to like an awesome movie just because of the secrecy of that, how we didn't know it was.
Nobody expected it.
Unbreakable related sequel universe movie. And then what came from it too is they're making a third part, like I was just saying.
So that's good.
Great movie.
Recommend it for sure.
What's his face?
Who?
James McAvoy. Amazing
Great actor.
performance.
Great
the way
actor.
he switches between the characters.
Like him in Dirty and all those other movies.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And I love the. I guess when he finally becomes the villain, like all the characters, just the name that they give him, the Horde, was like that's an awesome like comic book villain name, especially being like all these characters. I love that. Like Split, great movie. Going again back earlier in the year, Get Out.
That's in my top 5.
That one we saw together. That was
with
a great movie.
Yeah.
Jordan Peele directed. We didn't know what to expect, being his first directorial debut.
A lot of racial undertones, and he's upfront with it. He says that's a big part of the movie.
Yeah,
it takes a lot of cliches, but the undertone is about racism, and it played he put it into really good,
good premise. It was like a psychological thriller. We didn't know what was going on with it until that reveal. Like, these rich white folk, like, want to transplant their brains into these African American bodies for youth and like athletic ability and all this stuff. But just the way he did it, it's like very good movie. We had you on the edge of your seat the whole time. It was tense. We didn't know which way it was going.
No, and then just when you find out what's exactly going on, you're like, wow.
And what the world he created with the sunken place and Daniel Kaluuya.
The hypnotism part where she's removing the spoon around the cup. It's just the atmosphere that he portrayed was amazing.
Really cool.
Definitely a movie that I do consider a scary movie. Although the whole drama with the way it was categorized,
there's all
nominations.
Oh yeah, for the Golden Globe Awards.
Comedy.
That's because there was nowhere else to put it among like the best pictures, so they gave it a slot in the comedy, so it could get recognized possibly or get the award or maybe have the advantage in that category.
It was a scary movie. I mean, it really was. It wasn't your typical but it was psychological thriller scary.
Oh yeah, I would say psychological.
Either way, that was in my top for sure.
Great movie.
So I got my 2 top right there.
Thor Ragnarok.
Yes, top 3 right there.
Top 3.
Yeah.
Great movie, hilarious. Pretty much the beginning it's Marvel's comedy spoof.
The best Thor movie to date, and
I'd agree.
It really involved Thor's character, which the first 2 movies and the other Avengers movies never really did. It just we portrayed Thor as the same run-on character without real evolving. Like he never really evolved throughout the movies. His character pretty much stayed the same. And this movie did a great job of putting him further. It's like, hey,
they heightened his mannerisms, his characteristics, his humorous side of it more, because he always had like the comedy in the first.
Right.
More in the first. I barely remember the second movie. like the bits where he slams the cup and like, I'll have another, like the comedy.
It
kind of
played on more of the caveman aspect. You know, what's going on? Technology. You know.
But yeah, just all due to Taika Waititi, the comedic director that did it, infused so much of his style in it. He was even in the movie. He was hilarious as Korg.
One of the everybody fell in love with Korg. Let's be honest there. Everybody fell in love with Korg.
He was awesome.
But another movie I recommend as well as he does. So that's my top.
Yeah, the way they included the Hulk into the movie too.
Yes.
Like the whole Hulk storyline because he disappeared from.
Including Bruce Banner.
Avengers 2. Kind of disappeared.
There's a whole Ultron thing.
Yeah. So he'd been gone for 2 years. He learned how to speak. So you see him as Hulk, you know, with a personality. And in this world that they, what is it, Sakaar? Is that the planet they were on?
Yes.
Including Jeff Goldblum, being Jeff Goldblum, hilarious as always. Great movie.
Yep.
So that one, again, another one that could easily go into my top 5. And probably, I would guess this as your number 1 movie, Logan.
Yes. Logan. Just because you know how I love
Wolverine is like
Wolverine, one of my top favorite characters. That's my Batman. Toward your Batman kind of reference, and also because I've read the Old Man Logan saga story, which I fell in love with. One of the best stories, and I believe you already read.
Yeah,
that.
Based on your recommendation, that's one.
And it is such an amazing story, and finally seeing the closure to Logan, Logan's story, and the way they portrayed it in the movie was awesome. And
this
great. Heartfelt
movie with so many levels of having Hugh Jackman portray the same character for 17 years, and to give him like the best possible closeout to this character, because Wolverine wasn't the best movie. It was okay till like the third act with fighting the samurai, and Wolverine Origins
doesn't exist.
God awful.
Doesn't exist.
Movie.
Does not exist.
Right?
Does not exist.
Neither does Batman.
It's your Batman Forever.
Batman Forever I can do.
Okay, Batman Returns. Batman Robin. So it's his that one. But
as you had that as I was walking.
Yeah, and it's a closure. Like I said, there's not many movies that you can name that does a justice to a character where there's closure, where you can say, I accept it. I'm cool with this.
Including Patrick Stewart being Professor X.
Oh, and the way he went.
2001.
Yeah, and the way he went out too, you're like.
That was pretty brutal.
Chills. But it was a great movie. So that is for sure my number 1.
Logan, again, that's the same thing. Now we're going to hit my top 4.
Let's do this.
Personal top 4.
I think I already got one more left.
We've hit your number 1, Logan.
We had Coco, which is like 5.
Coco's number 5.
We had Get Out.
Get Out was in your top 5.
And then
Thor?
Thor.
Okay, so we got one more. Let's see if any of these will fall into it. So going into my personal top 4 movies that I enjoyed and absolutely loved of last year, I would go number 4, Blade Runner 2049.
That's my number 2.
Number 2?
Number 2, Blade Runner 2049.
So we were just talking about that before cameras rolled, and we got to talk about it. But like I mentioned again, this is a movie theater experience. If you watch it now on demand or by Blu-ray, it's still a good movie. The story was really good.
Yeah, there's just some movies that the experience will never be the same if you're in the theater because of the IMAX. The same, kind of like what's the movie? Interstellar. Just having the surround sound, the theaters vibrating, and just seeing it in IMAX is just amazing.
A lot of these movies I describe as an experience when you have great sound quality and the giant screen to see these visuals the way they're meant to be seen, like Blade Runner 2049. Denis Villeneuve, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly, the director, he said himself, I need to make this movie so nobody else will fuck it up, because he's such a fan of Blade Runner movie, the original.
And he did justice to it. Like, the story 30 years later from the original
2019 to 2049.
Yeah, it does justice. It connects well where you're like, wow. And the undertone, the story, the twist, pretty much at the end, you're like, I never saw this coming. You thought you figured out the movie, and then you see the twist, you're like, wow.
Not even that alone. What connected with me was like the set design. How this world is that same exact Blade Runner world with some advances, 20 years.
Yeah.
The music was amazing.
Amazing music.
Very retro, synthy, with
plenty of
Hans Zimmer, one of our favorite composers. Hans Zimmer and Brian Wallfish composed the soundtrack, which I'm still obsessed with.
Yeah.
Pop it on.
Not only that, what it did a great job with, and now before we actually got to this part, was as the story progressed and as you learned new things, it actually made you remember what happened in the initial stages of like the first and second act, where you were like, and not many movies you do that. You never many movies you think back and start connecting the dots, and the character, Ryan Gosling starts to feel, heartbroken over the things he's done. You can see it.
He did a great job in this movie.
He did an amazing job, but he did a great job portraying how troubled he is once he found out the truth. Like when he
once he found out, because he was sent like on a kind of like a mission that he had to do. Is like it's pretty much okay. Again, spoilers. If you're watching this, you should have seen it by now. It's your fault.
Yeah.
But he's sent out to kill the baby, or not a baby, but the child that a replicant has been able to.
That they didn't know of yet, though.
That they didn't know of until things lead to this discovery. So once he's tasked with that mission, that's when he starts kind of like, what's he doing? Like he starts kind of double guessing his motives and like what he's working for and stuff like that, and like what his life, because he's a replicant himself.
Yes, replicants are pretty much based on reaction, not thought.
And for him as a replicant to have a relationship with an AI, it's like these boundaries of like what is human, what is feelings. He's a replicant. He's in love with an AI, and the AI like loves him in return.
Yes.
Like, it was really, really cool.
So you already got my top 5 that was there.
Sound design was awesome. I even loved just the gunfiring in it. It was like very retro. It sounded very Blade Runner from the 80s. So that was really cool. Harrison Ford was cool in it too. He had a smaller part, but really good. The special effects were awesome when we see Rachel.
Everything about it.
That was amazing.
Like I said, sound effects, special effects,
the sound design, the set design, the world that was created,
the story.
It was
great. Overall a great movie.
I told you had to see it in theaters.
Even if say you never saw the first one, even on its own.
Yeah, because it's been years.
Even on its own, it does a good job.
Because it gives you the little upfront text of like, this is the Blade Runner world. These are what Blade Runners are and what they do.
Yeah.
So. Number 4. That was number 4.
So what's your 3?
Number 3, Shape of Water.
Which I haven't
not seen that one. Absolutely amazing movie.
Guillermo del Toro, amazing, brilliant guy who I wish he had all the money in the world to create his visions.
In this movie, this is a sweet movie because it is a monster movie kind of fairy tale.
Correct.
It's basically the story of the mute woman who falls in love with the amphibian man, and just the way the world with the world creation that he does is amazing. It was based like in the 1960s, so I love that retro 1960s look of it. It reminded me a lot of BioShock, my favorite video game.
Dick Tracy kind of look to it too.
Not so much Dick Tracy.
Kind of deal.
Not that exaggerated,
okay.
But they're all in their 60s, like the agents and stuff like that. Very sweet story with these characters and the side characters, the supporting characters, that her neighbor and her best friend would work. Really good characters. They each have their own little story arcs, and how each one of these characters is kind of like an outcast in society. So they're like little bits and pieces that you get a glimpse into this world. It's really good. Really sweet movie. I love the soundtrack, the set design, the world that he created. Guillermo, you just knocked it out of the park in this one. He won Best Director Golden Globe for this movie.
He did, and there's a lot of people
so
that shook his hand and like, thank you for this and that. That was awesome.
So that says a lot for something like this.
So that just means I have to go watch it. So probably watch it sometime this weekend.
Really good movie. It's a sweet little love story, and just based on the trailer, you kind of know the premise of it. She tries to save him.
Yeah.
Really good movie. So that's my number 3 movie of 2017. And these next 2 movies.
Interchangeable?
No, I think pretty solid number 1, solid number 2.
Okay.
Based on.
I can guess which one will be there, and I'm guessing you might be wearing it.
Maybe a little spoiler alert for number 1.
Okay.
But number 2, based on my likes and my loves, you probably, if you watch enough of this, I'm into the horror. It is my number 2 movie of 2017. This, when I heard they were readapting
it's my top 10 for sure.
When I heard they were readapting it, I was kind of like,
I think we made episodes where we're like, okay, we always do. We always don't shoot any idea down. We don't say they're gonna fuck it up or anything like that.
Yeah.
We always go, we'll give it a try. We always say the same thing. It's like, hey, we're gonna watch it before we totally judge it.
Yeah.
However, we always have our okay. I wonder how they're gonna pull it off though. Because,
Exactly.
you know, it's part of our childhood, so we'll see how they can pull it off. Hopefully, they don't fuck it up.
Yes.
I mean, we get skeptical,
What
but
this
we
is cool
don't
about-
outright hate it.
This has been 27 years since that TV adaptation,
Mhm.
the TV miniseries. Which, going back to it, the only good thing about it is Tim Curry as the character of it.
Mm-hmm.
And the story as the kids, like the portion of the movie as when they're kids, because when they're adults, it's like no big whoop. You can't really connect to the adults.
No,
There's no
they're-
real threat to them as adults. Like we don't care.
Because they already know
As
the
much
movie.
as we're
Yeah,
now.
correct.
So all this news that I've been following, like the original director, writer, kind of fell out, and the original guy who was going to portray it kind of fell out. So, so this is another movie with problems.
Yeah, and if you follow us for a while, we've always talked about those movies that just get in development hell. They just keep losing director, keep losing this and that.
Yeah, there's
And-
news about it,
and when
there's
that
bad
happens,
news about
it
it,
discourages.
Gambit, and then like it comes and
You
it
know,
goes,
it
Gambit,
it
it's
always
it's gonna be
discourages,
made, it's not
right?
gonna be made, Gambit. So we start seeing pictures of like the costume design and stuff. It's like, oh, that's a different take on it. It's like, okay, well, again, we'll see what happens when it comes out. And I went to go see this movie, and it completely just exceeded expectations. The Bill Skarsgård did an amazing job as Pennywise, the
He
dancing
did.
clown. He had very subtle tones of like I felt, kind of like Heath Ledger-y Joker bits of it, like just menacing behind his
He owned it and he added mannerisms to it where like, oh, creepy.
super
Great.
creepy,
Mhm.
dark, like, and just the character enjoyment of like torturing the kids because that's what he feeds off of is their
Their
fear
fear.
because they taste better. The losers gang, the club,
Clicked pretty well.
all those kids were amazing. They were awesome.
Mhm.
Finn Wolfhard from Stranger Things was cool, like another knock.
A lot
out
of
the
mouth,
park.
yeah.
So it was one of my favorites. I love the design of Pennywise.
Yeah.
Seeing it in motion, seeing it in that action, the way he portrayed the character. The story was cool. Like a lot of different differences from the miniseries
Right.
because it's just all focused on the kids. So we're gonna get a part 2 as adults, and there's a lot of like little nods to like the book and to the original miniseries.
The book,
But this
yeah.
this movie created for me. I watched it maybe 5 times in theaters.
Did you really? Wow.
Just the atmosphere that's created. Because in this town of Derry, like the adults, even the adults are creepy.
You know what's great to watch them? Hitting back on you watching multiple times, there's little things that you miss watching the first time.
I've always caught something new.
So
each time
when
I
you're
saw it.
watching, you start seeing Pennywise do little pop-ins on them, here and there,
It's always something in the background.
in the graffiti at the library. You see it.
It's always something in the
Yeah.
background that just kind of pops up. Like you don't catch it at first, but
Yeah.
but you feel it, but you don't notice it because it's just the atmosphere that was created. And I love what he did. Andy Muschietti, the director, he awesome job, and I hope he knocks it out of the park.
There you
He
go.
does an awesome job with part 2. So it was my number 2 movie of 2017. Just being such a huge horror fan. Well, actually, it got a lot of criticism for not being too scary or not being like a horror movie.
It was more of a thriller.
I would classify it as a horror movie.
It's still horror.
It was a
horror,
monster.
horror thriller. It did good and not doing nothing but like, the cliche of jump scare after jump scare after jump scare. Because it built up to the character. You see in his face like, all right, I'm creeped out now. So
It had its moments like because it said like it has seven little kids and it sets up each one of their fears, which is what Pennywise feeds off of. So it was kind of I could understand like a little bit of the repetition of like, oh now here's this kid and his scare, this kid and their scare and so on.
and it had to do that because it had to set apart each kid's fear and how they all overcome each other's fear.
So yeah.
Well, that's cool
Yeah,
though. That's your number 2, huh?
My number 2. My number 1 again. I don't know if you could tell how big of a fan I was of this movie.
Which is one of the best movies for this company so far.
Best movie for this company. I would say best movie in the superhero genre. I would say one of the best
Really?
movies.
Best movie in the superhero genre?
I would say one of the best movies in movies in general because what it did on more of a industry kind of focus or societal type of thing because it was a female-centric movie. It was directed by a female director, a female lead superhero, which all these companies were always kind of hesitant about doing.
Right, because it hasn't been done in
Or
forever.
taken seriously because we've had Elektra, we've had the Catwoman, we've had like a Charlize Theron movie from what I remember, but they never got such a backing, such a push, such a high profile kind of like here.
Right.
We're a big company here. We're gonna push this movie, and it's a good movie. But the story like hit me on so many levels too. The writing on so many levels.
Yeah.
So many character moments, and just being impressed by Gal Gadot.
She did an amazing job. The mascara being showed amazing. Everything about it was really great. It was a movie I enjoyed. It wasn't in my top 5, it definitely is in my top 10. And I know after the movie ended, because we watched at the premiere, we're like, best movie DC's ever made.
That's for sure.
They hit. The fight scenes were amazing. The slow-mo was done well in taste, where he just followed through her speed, her strength, her intelligence. It definitely sets it apart from a lot of movies.
I think what they did really well too was the portrayal of the actual character, because I'd only started reading the Wonder Woman comics because of Batman v Superman a year earlier. Oops, sorry about that. Like to get into the character because I was like, oh, let me get into this. Now I have my trinity of like Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, and seeing how much heart this character has and how much heart they let show on the screen. Some people like feel it's like too cheesy, but like this is who this character is. Like
Diana's had love interests, throughout her kind of history and stuff like that. She falls in the same problem that other comic book heroes have had. Bruce Wayne, Clark Kent. They both had their love interests. It's just part of that world, man. And
I'm not even talking about love interest. I'm talking about her heart as far as like towards humanity. She's
connection.
She's leaving her island because she finds out about war. And she thinks it's Ares, the god of war, who she's learned about growing up. So she leaves her island knowing that she can't come back anymore to fight for us, to fight for humanity.
Which, that's huge, because you're living something that is you've known your whole life.
Yeah, and she sees that us, mankind,
are imperfect.
Are really worth saving. but she decides we are. Yeah. She sacrifices to help us, to save mankind.
Right.
Because we go to war with each other for what reason? What are we doing for? She thinks we're corrupted by Ares, and then she thinks she defeats this god of war.
Well, it's his mom. It's her mom too, who says we are not worth saving.
Yeah.
Which it's funny because it's a theme in the comics. That even for Marvel and DC, Earth is centralized in the whole world. Like
it's the main focus in the universe.
In the universe, there we go. And there's a lot of beings, a lot of races. Like it's not worth saving. Just they can do away with.
Yeah, exactly. Look what they do to each other.
Yeah.
Like, they don't love each other. They don't help each other. It's like they're always going at it for something. Yeah. Like because of their little differences.
The big dramas in the comic books is the worlds or their planets. They're not fighting amongst themselves. It's like the whole planet fighting another different planet.
Yeah.
But go to Earth, fighting amongst themselves.
Yeah, we're destroying ourselves. Yeah. We're destroying our own planet. So just her discovery of she thinks she defeats Ares. It's not Ares, it's mankind. We're the ones that are doing this to each other. We're the ones that are corrupt.
So all that adds up to your number 1, huh?
So many, so I saw this movie in theaters 11 times. I've never done that with any other movie. The Dark Knight I saw 5 times in IMAX, and then maybe 3 more times just in regular standard.
But maybe sure it wasn't just a fanboy crush that kind of helped it along too.
That helped. But each watching was like something different. Yeah. Like the character moments. Even little minute things in the writing of like the way Chris Pine, like when we first see him on the island, he's like, "Where am I?" She's like, "This is Themyscira." He's all, "Don't know what." And then later on in the movie, he's all, "Back where you're from, Paradise Island," because he couldn't say Themyscira. It's like you catch little things like that in the writing, in like just the actions.
Yeah.
It's like one of the times it's like that the Charlie, the PTSD character, because he's a thief and a drunk. That one shot like in the bar. Where he's like setting up the plan, and that one guy comes back in to shoot Charlie. You see him like off in the side, stealing another cup of beers, like just little things like that, like little character moments. This movie just kind of blew me away on so many different levels. So that's my number 1. Easily, I could say my number 1.
There you go. It's number 1. So there you have it.
Not to mention the kick-ass theme song. Come on.
There, that's true. So there you go. You got our top 5 honorable mentions for me as well that I haven't said is Star Wars.
Yeah, there you go. That one, you know what? I didn't even put Justice League on that list of 10 or so movies.
Justice League is another movie. Justice League is another movie I would say was in the top 10 because it was a movie that far exceeded what I expected, and I had low expectations, but it far exceeded it.
For it to be, I've heard this from, I got this from someone else on YouTube.
Yeah.
For it to be a cohesive enough movie, like for them to have put together something to release as a movie and still kind of make sense. It's kind of miraculous for what this movie's been through.
That's what I'm saying. I had low expectations because of everything we've been through with DC, and to it be
not even DC alone, just this movie alone.
That with
Just
directors and everything, you know, all the drama that we've always talked about in our past episode, to being what it is now, I was like, hey, tip my hat to it, and it was a good movie.
I enjoyed it.
It wasn't great, but it was a good movie.
It was a fun mess.
And I would rewatch it again.
Yeah, same here. I saw it 4 times in theaters.
So there you go.
I enjoyed it, but
Yeah.
it narrowly missed like my top like 10-ish, 12 movies. It would be right under that list there.
Alright.
Not a horrible movie. It's not one of those that I put on my list of movies that I hated.
Yeah.
Last
So
year.
there's our top 5 movies and recommendations of 2017. 2018, the comic world movies hasn't started yet. It will start next month.
We got what, 3 or 4 movies this year?
It's
Black Panther,
Deadpool,
Infinity War, Deadpool,
Infinity War,
Aquaman.
Aquaman, and anything else that you know?
I think that's it. Comic book wise,
But
maybe like the main DC Marvel
the
movies.
comic book wise, and you still, you know, you got other great movies. You know, Pacific Rim coming out. You know, but more news should be coming our way. We talked about it's been a slow go. Not much news. You know, we already mentioned in our Instagram post the whole Fox merger, possible merger, or IP that Disney is buying. Like 90% of Fox's IP. Will it happen? I don't know. The government can stop it. He has issues. I don't. We'll get further in a different episode once more news comes out. But here's looking at you guys for 2018. Thank you for staying tuned with us and listening to us. And subscribe, like, share. You know, tell us your thoughts. Tell us what movies you like for 2017 that we didn't talk about. You know. Besides that, thank you very much. This is Los.
Quick shout out to the guy in the Target parking lot that recognized me. That was cool.
That was
At
awesome.
least I know one person watches this.
There you go.
Shout out to you too, boss. I know you watch this too.
There you go.
Hit the like button, the little thumbs up. Easy enough. Just hit the like. Share it. It's just for fun.
Yep.
Nobody has to watch it, but if it's shared, it's cool.
This is also for my captain Tom, who helped out with the
Thank
intro.
you.
And
Thank you for watching. That's cool.
this. So thank you again, guys. Los.
True.
See ya.